Greetings, denizens of the internet. You can call me Nitro Indigo, and today I'll be drawing Temtem fan art. For those of you out of the know, just to give you a quick overview, Temtem is an MMO inspired by Pokemon. Tuwai is one of the starters, and it's basically Eevee. Every island has a shrine, and if you bring Tuwai there, it will evolve into a different Temtem, each of a different type. Now, there's only one shrine per island, obviously, but each island is associated with two types, and since people like designing fake evolutions for the remaining types, I brought up the idea of doing the same for Tuwai on the Temtem Discord server. My first attempt was an electric type called 2V, but I never got around to drawing over it digitally, and instead I decided to start again and design a neutral type one. But before I started designing it, I had to think about two things. First of all, what do all the Tulutions have in common? Each of them have a beak that's the same size as their head and has at least two colours on it. Each of them has a crest on the back of their head and a long tail. They have 3 toes, 2 pointing forwards and 1 pointing back, which is similar to how toucans have 4 toes, 2 pointing forwards and 2 pointing back. And on their wings they have 2 rows of feathers, and each row has about 6 feathers. And 2, what are common design motifs among neutral types? There aren't that many, but I can notice that most of them are white and grey and similar neutral colours like that, obviously. And a lot of them have long trailing things, such as Tataru's antennae, Momo's braid, Yowlar's danglies, and Venx's bandages. So, knowing this, I drew my first sketch on paper and asked people on the Discord server for feedback. Someone told me that the crest didn't look that good, and I agreed with them, so I sketched some alternates, and a couple of more users told me which ones they liked best, so I combined them and drew a model sheet for my final design. Originally, I was planning to do the digital drawing in like a standing pose facing to the side, but I couldn't make it look good, and also, in their official artwork, all the official Tulutions are spreading out their wings, so I decided to draw it like that instead. The place in Temtem that's most associated with neutral types is the Kilima Peaks and Barrafield Glacier, which, as their name suggests, are the coldest areas in the game, so I decided to base it on a snowy owl with a puffin's beak because it already has stripes on it and I thought it would suit the Tulution look. However, Temtem doesn't have an ice type, so I didn't want to give it outright icy motifs. It lives in the cold, but it doesn't have power over the cold. And as for the final digital design, originally I drew it with round eyes like an owl, but they looked kind of goofy, and since the Tulutions are supposed to look majestic, I changed them to teardrop shapes. I made a few more changes to the design as I drew this. For example, I knew I was going to put some pattern on the wings, but I hadn't actually decided what it would look like. Originally they were going to be spots, but I didn't like how that turned out, so I decided to draw curving shapes similar to the wings and tail feathers instead, because I thought it made the design look more coherent. Even after that, I thought the bottom feathers looked plain, so I added some grey markings onto them to just kind of break it up a bit. I tried adding similar grey markings to the legs, which, unlike the other Tulutions, are fully feathered because birds that live in cold places have those in real life, but it didn't look good, so I decided to just remove it. The Tulutions all have pretty top-heavy designs anyway, so it's no big loss. new way. Meet Tuwai. Imagine that in this alternate version of Temtem, instead of there being an Earth Shrine at Aisha's hearth, there's instead a neutral shrine at Barafu Glacier. And since it lives in the cold, both of Tuwai's traits reflect this: Snowstorm, which freezes all other Temtem on the battlefield, and Warm-Blooded, which prevents it from getting frozen. I imagine it would be a mixed attacker, which leans towards the special, but in order to balance that out, it has low stamina, so it can't spam too many attacks at once. Like the evolutions, all the two Lucians have the same base stat numbers, but they're in different orders. So, what did you think of this? This is like the first big drawing project I've done in a while, and I'm quite pleased with how it turned out. If you want to talk to me about anything really, consider joining my Discord. If you want to support me as a content creator, consider donating to my Ko-Fi. Links to both in the description. Until next time, stay interesting!